Hi guys, it's Emily with Evolve, and this week we're talking about pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I have had the wonderful pleasure of having a guest in my house for the last couple of days, and so I wanted to share with you my experience that I've had with Melody. Melody is a couch surfer. A few months ago, for those of you who follow me on Facebook and Twitter, I wanted to participate in Couchsurfing or be a host. I have a couple of different friends who have done it and just have had a wonderful experience. And so I signed up, I got my profile, and Melody is actually my very first surfer, and I'm just fascinated by her journey, and I thought what she has done and the path that she is on is so applicable to what I think we all are up against, whether it is the same type of thing that she's doing or whether it's just in our daily lives. There are things that we're up against, and so I wanted for her to be able to share a little bit about her story and her journey so that we can all learn how she has done such an amazing job pushing herself outside of her comfort zone and combating and confronting fear. And so I am actually just, Melody, would you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you're doing and how you're doing it, and just kind of tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, well, I am a massage therapist in real life. So I live on the big island of Hawaii, and I decided at one point that I just wanted to do something a little bit different. In Hawaii, the weather's always the same, the people are always the same, and it just got a little bit boring for me. So I wanted to try to see if I could sort of hitchhike on sailboats around the world, and I got on a website called Find a Crew, and I got a job fishing in Alaska on this man's sailboat, and that actually ended up failing. We didn't make very much money. I guess it's kind of overfished up there. It's kind of sad, but I did end up making some money in Alaska seafood processing. And then the company sent me to Seattle, Washington, where I just decided I was going to buy a van, and I was already on the mainland, so I thought, why not try and see all 50 states?
So I have to ask you, right before you continue, talk to us about some of the things that came up for you in making that decision, and kind of, were you afraid, and if you were, how did you get past that? What kind of went through your mind as you were making that decision?
The truth is, there's fear every single day, especially while I'm traveling. There's always that kind of, was that a bad idea? But I have a tendency, just my personality, I have a tendency to find myself in a situation where I'm like, oops, was I supposed to do that? Was that really bad idea? So it was probably a little bit easier for me than it would be for people who tend to worry a lot. So I don't know.
Okay. So continue with your story. So you bought a van and you decided to what?
Well, ultimately the goal was I wanted to see all 50 states, and there are a few states that I've already seen. So I lived for 6 months at one point in my life in the Bronx, New York, and so I kind of just cleared my map and decided I was going to try and use Couchsurfing.org as my checking off a state once I've couch surfed in that state. And then that developed, I started meeting people on meetup.com, and I really love that website. It's a fantastic place to meet people when you've never been to a town before. And so I really enjoy hiking, and that added to my journey. So before I check off a state, I have to couch surf in that state, and I have to go hiking in that state.
Okay, that is so cool. And so tell us about one of your favorite experiences that you've had so far, and how many states have you gone through? I remember you telling me you've been on the road for 9 months so far, and so tell me a little bit about that part.
About how long it's been taking me?
you've been on the road for 9 months, and how long will it take you to continue? How far have you gotten? And one of your favorite experiences so far?
Okay, that's a lot. Well, it's taken me 9 months because I'm working as I go. I started out with just enough money for the van and all the things that I needed to go. And I knew that I could just get little odd jobs along the way, so I wasn't really worried about that, even though I have found myself in a situation where I was completely out of money and relying on charity. And thank goodness for charity. But one of my favorite experiences, I think, was the opportunity to actually meet and interview some people in Utah who are practicing polygamists.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
And I think one of the things that was really inspiring in that moment for me was to see how joyful they actually live, because I know there's a lot of bad press about polygamists, and they were not denying that there are practicing polygamists who've committed some really heinous crimes. And even despite all of that, they're really focused on creating a strong community, creating a great place for children, their children, to grow up and learn and develop themselves into genuine people. And I feel like a lot of the things that they incorporate into their lifestyle are things that our modern world has kind of forgotten about and lost. A lot of really good, genuine, homey sort of things.
Okay, that is absolutely fascinating. I think I often talk a lot about societal conditioning and how so many of us make decisions based on that rather than what how we can look inward and really do what's best for us, regardless of what society or the Joneses think about our decisions. So I think that's right in alignment with that. They're making the decision that's best that they feel is for them, not what society is. So I totally understand that. So so you've been to how many states so far?
I didn't tell you. So 17, okay. And then tomorrow I'm going to Idaho, and that'll make 18. And then I'm going to spend the winter back home because I did a little bit of research after already being here on the mainland and realized that the weather on the mainland is fairly atrocious, even in the southern states, which I didn't expect. So I'm going back to Hawaii for 3 months during the winter, and then I'll fly back here and hopefully fly back to Idaho and renew my journey from there eastward.
Okay, and how will you still plan? You said you've seen 17, you'll soon to be 18 states, and so you'll continue your journey. How much longer do you think that it will take for you to see all 50 states?
I think it's going to take at least 2 more years. But this whole journey itself has really been an outward expression of the inward journey that I'm taking, and it's part of this whole discovering how to face my fears. One of my biggest fears is not necessarily like being alone as much as just being unaccepted. And I've been single for a really long time. So there's a lot of moments in my life where I feel like maybe it's because there's something about me that somebody couldn't accept, or other people cannot accept. So I'm finding this inward sort of path to find the acceptance of myself and face my own fears of not being accepted, so that other people are more apt to accept me for just who I am.
That is absolutely beautiful. When we were chatting earlier today, you were telling me that you have a blog that you update. Now, do you update it daily?
No, Every Friday.
Every Friday. Okay. So, what you read to me on your blog today was just absolutely inspiring to me and so beautiful. You're such an amazing writer. I think that we all have an opportunity to sort of look inward and sort of discover ourselves. And the way that you have been able to go about it is just absolutely fascinating to me and so brave and courageous. And you probably don't feel like that sometimes, but to those of us who don't live the life that you live, I'm just so, I'm so taken back by you, and just it's so fascinating to me to listen to your stories and to hear the quest that you've been on and that you're still on to sort of continue to find yourself and just go through all of the things that you are experiencing on a daily basis. So would you tell us a little bit about your blog so that my listeners, if they want to follow you and learn more from you as you kind of progress, if you would mind telling us a little bit about that?
Sure. Mostly I talk about traveling. Well, because I'm traveling. There's kind of 2 or 3 segments that I write. One of them I call Lonely Tales of Love, and it's my misadventures in matters of the heart. And one of them is just kind of an instructional on how you can also just get out and see the world and not worry about. A lot of people come to me and they're just like, oh my gosh, you travel so much. How are you able to do that? So that section of my blog kind of answers those questions. And then the third part is just my personal sort of like, this is what I'm doing and this is how I feel about the world.
Okay, I think that's super cool. So how do we find you?
I am at wanderlustinghearts.blogspot.com. That's WANDERLUSTINGHEARTS.blogspot.com. It's really long, I know, but it was really important to me that I actually chose, because I had found myself in a misadventure in matters of the heart where the person I had fallen in love with was in the process of being deported, and we started discussing moving to Mexico together. And so when I started the blog, it was supposed to be about that, but I got really hung up on how personal that story was, and then it didn't turn out that way. We didn't move to Mexico together. He moved to Guatemala, and I went to Alaska to go fishing.
Okay, that is another amazing story. You're so full of those stories. I love it. You have been dating along the way, right? So it's like I have a lot of single women who follow me and are out there also looking for and finding themselves and looking for, I think, the same thing like you talked about, acceptance in themselves and love. And so you've been dating along the way. So it's, even though you're traveling across the country and meeting all these fascinating types of people and having all these amazing experiences, you're still not letting that part of your life go by the wayside. So do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Sure. What do you want to know? I mean, it's just kind of probably a bad idea, but I'm doing it anyway. That wouldn't have even been something that I would have thought of. And so I think it's absolutely fascinating. And I think, how is it any different to find a date when you're in a different city than when you live in the city that you're in? I mean, I myself was on Match.com. I've been on other dating sites. And so when you set up your own sort of blind date, I don't think it's any different than maybe being on the road, but maybe it is. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. Well, I think mostly when somebody meets me and they find out who I am, they automatically think, oh, you're leaving town tomorrow. So they put me in that box of quick hookup, never see you again. And so I think that's probably the worst place to be. I definitely am not seeking a bunch of quick hookups all along the road. I find myself really just finding somebody to chat with and maybe have lunch or dinner and, get to know them hopefully as a friend. And the intention is to hopefully develop some sort of friendship with somebody who also loves to travel. Unfortunately, I haven't found that yet.
But you did have an amazing experience where you ended up going with another couch surfer all the way to Florida, was it? Was that right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We went from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And so basically what happened was this person arrived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, sent me a text message, was like, I heard you were in Albuquerque. Do you want to go to Florida? And so I just got in the car with him and went with him to Florida. But we had already we met on Couchsurfing. I stayed at his home, and so we had sort of developed a small friendship, and I was pretty sure that it was just friendship level, so the whole trip wasn't really trying to hook up or trying to date this person. It was just as friends and enjoying each other's time. It was fun.
That's so cool. I think that if I didn't have children, I would want to I don't know if I could do the length of time that you have done. That is a quest to really a commitment and a passion to follow. But I think for me, I love meeting all kinds of new people, and having those different kinds of experiences is absolutely fantastic, and just something that is so inspiring. So can you, just a few last questions. So can you talk a little bit about, do you ever want to give up? I know, the things that I go through every day, like you said, there's fear and there's challenges that come up, whether it's just in my day-to-day business, with my children, whatever it might be. And I know a lot of my listeners, a lot of my audience, they're also struggling. And it's like, as soon as you make a decision to do something, you're go gung-ho for a while, and then all of a sudden, you get discouraged for whatever reason, or, something comes up and you're just like, oh gosh, is it really worth it? Do I really, am I really going to keep going at this? So can you tell us how you keep yourself going? And this is a goal for you, right?
Yeah. I do actually find a lot of encouragement on Couchsurfing. So when I'm able to meet people, it's usually people who also like to travel. I tell people who don't know anything about Couchsurfing, it's basically a travel club where people who like to travel get together and host each other and travel together and go to events or create events to go to. And so I feel like it's nice to find people who enjoy the same sort of mission that you're trying to accomplish. I know that's part of it, but there is these moments of fear where I do find myself kind of like asking a lot of really difficult questions. I'm asking myself, do I really want to do this? Why am I doing this? And sometimes there's that ever-present, what's wrong with you? So I'm like, why am I doing this? Is this really crazy? And I feel like the best way to push past that is to really find my joy. Like, find that one thing that is keeping me going, the thing that makes me just be excited to wake up the next day. And that's going to get me past that fear, because it's more important to have that feeling of joy than it is to have that fear or worry, or sometimes it's worth the risk to experience that great joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I have had a couple of conversations with a few of my different clients over the last few weeks, and some of them are making huge life changes, and some of them are just approaching making life changes, and it's scary. I think that we come across those things, and so that is really good advice. It's finding that thing that keeps you going, finding your joy, finding your bliss. That's hugely important, and remembering, what it is that you want to achieve in the long run. And so, is there anything else that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah, I do actually. It's about change, because one of the hardest things for us to do, even for somebody like me who's constantly on the move, is to change. And I feel like one of the ways that I'm able to get past that stuck in a rut sort of feeling is to remind myself that the only thing that's constant in the world is change. And the only way to become that person that I imagine myself being is to change.
That is fantastic advice. And I think that it's easy to stay inside of that comfort zone. It's easy to get complacent with our lives. And so if that's you and you're listening and you're going through a transformation or you want to experience something different, there's something in your life that you want to make different, find inspiration in this message and look inside your heart and really wake up tomorrow and begin taking 2 steps. It doesn't have to be a huge leap, but just sometimes taking a few steps makes all the difference in getting to that next place that you are seeking to get. Make that scary phone call, send that email, put yourself out there, and what comes back to you, you may be really, really surprised. So thank you so much, my dear, for being here today, and I was so grateful to have you as my guest. If anybody is interested in Couchsurfing, can they reach out to you just on the blog? Is that the best way to find you, or?
Yeah, probably. I'm also on Facebook. It's Facebook.com/wanderlustingheart. And so you can comment on my blog or you can find me on Facebook.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you guys so much for listening today. And make sure that if you have comments or questions, find one of us on one of the social media platforms. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. All of those ways that we're connected. Get there, find a way to make that change that you want to make, and be that person that you want to be. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you, seeing you next week. Bye-bye.